Hello everyone, this is the William Red Fox, and welcome to my world. So I thought about starting up a new series where I actually go around and transform this entire Minecraft world. Now, I didn't want it to be like the previous transformations where I've done, where it's just a simple video. I thought I would actually go through and talk about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. This idea actually came from the YouTuber Random Furry Girl, so hopefully this might actually be something worth doing. If you do like it, do let me know. But for now, we're actually going to start by changing the spawn. Now, the spawn is pretty unremarkable, so I'm actually going to try something new with this. And this will be the something new, so I've thought about using World Painter for some time now. Now, I know I could probably use World Edit, but I feel like World Painter is a lot nicer just for the simplicity of it, as well as the fact that you can have custom brushes and just so that you can actually detach yourself from the build. And what I mean by that is that you can actually look at it in a different way. So with just a top-down view, you can actually just look at the terrain, and then when you actually go into the game, you can actually edit the finer points. Now, what I plan on doing here is I'm actually going to take this main spawn island part right here and actually just change the terrain a little bit, just make it a little bit nicer. As you can see, that's where the spawn was, where the hills kind of ridge like that with the little cave in the back. I don't quite like that, so I want to try and actually blend this a little bit nicer and just see how that works out. I actually learned this from a YouTuber, Lord Dakr, D-A-K-R. He's got an incredible series over there on how to use World Painter, as well as sort of a couple of links to some custom brushes that you can see here on the right that make things look a lot better than the traditional normal brushes. Yeah, I do suggest checking out that series. It helps out a lot, and he can teach you pretty much everything you'll need to know about World Paint. Okay, so first off, I've actually just gone through and actually kind of leveled the terrain while also making it a little bit better for building. Now, as you can see, rather than being multiple peaks throughout, I've actually just adjusted it so that there is a singular peak that can actually be seen by these black lines. So this is actually the highest point on the island, and then over here is the lowest. Now, I've kind of uniformed it going upwards towards this way and then sloping towards the edges here, while also trying to keep this actual terrain somewhat the same. I do just want to transform it, not completely remove it. And as you can see, the land mass here is a little bit flatter, and I can show that a little bit better by using the Control-3 command. Yeah, so it brings up this like little map of the world. Now, it's kind of hard to get the orientation sometimes, but if you look here, that's where this bit here is. So just need to rotate that around. I think I've just rotated it the right way. Yeah. So you can see here, the terrain's a lot better now compared to what it was at the beginning, where we had multiple jagged peaks and little caves everywhere, and you can still see where the caves are, so we will have to go back and tidy them up a little bit. But hopefully what I can go through now and is actually develop the spawn here. Now, I'm not too sure whether it'll keep the spawn location the same, but I know it's around about here because the world will still have me set to there. So as you can see, actually it turned out quite well. Now, I did think I was going to have to come in here and do some major changes, but it does look like I only have to do some minor ones. For example, the caves that we mentioned, they actually brought them up to the surface, as well as some bits over there, as you can see just over there on the hill. And not only that, when you actually generate a world doing this method, you can't actually affect anything you've actually built. So for example, I placed this manually. It wasn't actually part of the natural generation, so it actually just completely forgot to update those chunks, just so that it doesn't break anything you've already done in the world. But yeah, I think it's a good time now to actually jump into some time lapses and get something built. So I started off by building a small little tent. This is actually for a future project, but for now, it's just a nice little build. So for the tower design, I decided to do something a little different. Now, this is a graph that is designed based on cluster gradients, rather than using the standard dark to high that I usually do on the walls that I've done in the Foxgrove City. I've decided that clustering might actually look a little bit better. Now, the way I've done this is that I've generated it so that it generates a number based on the number that is next to its neighbor. It starts in the top left corner and then goes all the way down to the bottom right corner. Now, the problem with doing this is that the first number will always be blue, which is a little bit annoying, but you have to kind of just have a bit of leeway just to get the random number factor going through the entire grid. So, for example, if I change this number here, it changes the entire pattern. Now, the only problem is you can never get the same pattern twice. So it doesn't matter what number you change it to, it'll never be the same. So if you look in the background now as I'm talking, you can see that the number is not having any effect. It's just that that first number is blue. Now, I can't get it to go any other color than blue. But yes, when you take this from Excel and move it to Minecraft, it looks a little like this. And when you actually have it filled in, it looks a little like this. And I have to say, it actually looks really good. Not just from a distance, but up close as well. So while using this, you can actually then add a texture of detail over the top. Now, you don't actually have to put too much detail, since this actually gives pretty much a lot of the background detail. Now, with a design like this, you can actually just use fine details, like using stone bricks to make outlines and stone stairs and half slabs just to make an interesting pattern on a wall, and it would work perfectly for towers, and I feel like this would work perfectly for cliffs as well. Now, I haven't tried it with cliffs, but hopefully this will work with the tower that I'm about to design. Now, there needed to be a base for this tower to sit on, simply because when you actually have a look at most towers, they actually have some sort of solid foundation put in place, whether that's a small foundation or quite a large one. Now, given that the size of this hill, I think it was better to have a larger foundation. So I started off by using that chunk design to actually then make these walls. Now, this makes it a lot quicker to do, as well as gives it that randomness that I can't really do myself, given the fact that most people will actually follow a certain pattern. Whereas if you actually use random numbers, they'll do it for you. Once that was done, I then started working on the interiors. Now, I just wanted it to be a nice simple interior, simply because this is a tower. It's not actually somewhere where they're probably going to be staying much, it's just simply for defense. After that, I actually started working on the tower design. Now, with the walls the way they are, they actually have most of the details, so I could use one single block to actually add that added little feature, so everything didn't feel a bit flat. After that, I actually built a top to the tower. Now, this one's a little bit bigger than the actual build, just simply because you will need more space, as well as putting a few beds up here just so that they had somewhere to sleep. After that, I used Lord Dakr's tree pack to actually develop this further. You see, I'm not that good at making custom trees for myself just yet, so I think this is a great middle ground. If you head over to his channel, he has all tutorials on this, as well as where you can get all these brushes. I do recommend actually looking into this, just simply because I feel like I could use these as a template just to help me develop my own skills, and so in the future I might end up just using my own trees rather than using someone else's. And with that, the build's now done, so this actually looks pretty good. These spawners came quite far from what it was originally, and this tower looks actually quite amazing. And thanks again to Random Furry Girl. And thanks again to Random Furry Girl, who actually suggested that I should actually talk a bit more with these videos. If there's any more suggestions anyone has in regards to how I can better improve my videos, or just the builds themselves, by all means, please do leave a comment down below, and I will always read them and respond to every message. But for now, I think this build has done great, and I think this is where she should end. So I'll see you in the next video.